Recently, I had a comment from Phil Acott who asked about a tight turn leading into a steep uphill and how to not dab on the inside and take points on that. And so I thought I'd make a video. This is something that's new to me, making a video based on other people's suggestions. So I went out to the woods, made a little turn here. This is about 3 steps from one side of the cones to the other, and then a decently steep hill turn right after it. So I'll give you a little demonstration here. So often we're leaning in and then we just dab to the inside. Oftentimes the back tire will break traction because our head dips in, our shoulders dip in. The only way out of it is to throttle, and that back tire loses traction, dab to the inside. So we're going to break this down into 3 things: turning posture, hill climb form, and RPM buildup, and letting out the clutch. Now, if you haven't seen it, I've got a whole video on turning drills. This is huge in my warm-up. Figure 8s, really emphasizing getting those hips back, outside knee out, weight out, both arms straight, so hips are back, which adds extra weight to the rear tire. You can see the difference between turning normally and then also sitting down into it with those hips back makes a big difference. So one trick that I think I heard from Ryan Young was to actually try to take a dab on the outside. So if you guys have ever tried this in a turn, if you're trying to dab on the outside, you basically just stop, because your weight is leaning outside, and so you don't continue the turn. So here I am emphasizing trying to take a dab on the outside rather than fall inside and let the bike lean in to turn, and eventually I make it up the hill. So this is a big deal. If you've never tried this, intentionally go out and practice and say, I'm not going to dab to the inside. I'm going to intentionally try and take a dab on the outside. It can really change the way that you guys are turning. So really just emphasizing this turn. You guys have probably heard it before. 150 pounds of the bike leaning to the inside means you've got to put 150 pounds outside, which means your head and shoulders cannot dip in, otherwise you will take that dab. Now you can advance this with a rear wheel hop if you want to give that a try. Again, I've got an entire playlist dedicated to turns. So let's talk about number 2. Hill climb form. Definitely want those knees to be dipped forward towards the front axle. You cannot be covering the rear brake because your toes are going to be pointed down. Your weight is low, your center of gravity is down and in towards the bike. Hate to say it this way, but it's, guys, you're putting your balls right on the gas tank. Your chest is forward. That low center of gravity and keeping the weight down and in will keep you from looping out. So the third part of this, we want to be building up the engine inertia with the flywheel spinning. We want to rev that bike up, squat into it, and then go. If you guys haven't seen my full video, the 19-minute video on a wheelie to splat, check that out. Skip to about 2.5 minutes in where I talk all about rev, squat, go, because that's what we're going to be using right here. Now, sometimes you can get away with just accelerating on the gas, just using the throttle, not messing with the clutch, but in slippery conditions, you're gonna wanna build up that engine inertia, so you can hear the difference now. I'm revving up the bike and then letting out the clutch. Now, the key is to get your body low just before you're accelerating on the clutch. That way, you're providing traction to that rear tire. So a great drill for this is just going up the hill, revving up the bike, dipping into it, and then accelerating on the clutch. All right, so now putting all these pieces together, we are wanting to turn nice and tight. As we finish the turn, we're building up the RPM, squatting into it, and accelerating up the hillside. You guys can add a rear wheel hop if so desired. It definitely makes it more challenging, but it can cut down on the turning diameter. So this is something I practice a lot, the downhill to uphill turns and then moving into an obstacle or up a hill. So you guys can see these are just some different terrain that I'm working on: that tight turn, coming off of a hill and then coming up over a rocky section or some other obstacle. It seems like a lot of time in sections, they will lay out some sort of hard turn and then going up a hill. So this one's for you, Phil. I appreciate you asking me about it, and maybe I'll do some more videos of this sort. If you guys have other questions about trials, different techniques, strategies, I'm not a pro, but I am going to try and break things down into a way that a beginner would attack these. So in this one, again, we've got the turning form, we've got the hillside or climbing technique, and then also building up that RPM so we can let out the clutch in a smooth manner to gain traction as we get all the way to the top. All right, guys, this is Second Year Moto Trials. Tommy T here. Thanks so much for watching. Consider subscribing if this channel is adding value to you. And if you've got a question or something you're working on, go ahead and throw it in the comments. Maybe we can figure it out together. I'll see you in the next one.